Guys, the Las Vegas Aces are looking a whole lot lighter after some of these trades and free agency signings that have happened. And guys, it's leaving the bench to look a little sparse.
The Las Vegas Aces have lost half their roster, 2 of their top assistant coaches, and their GM all in one offseason. If that's not a major red flag, I'm not sure what is.
The Las Vegas Aces, the team that revitalized the modern day super team in the WNBA. They went from dominating the league, is now the team that did not live up to expectations this year, and is a team that's one by one falling apart in front of our own very eyes.
But hold on, there's more. Throw in a pending lawsuit and rumors of shady deals, and you've got a full-blown disaster on your hands. So what's really behind this mass exodus of players, and what's causing AJawilson to break down in tears? Seems like what happens in Vegas doesn't always stay in Vegas, especially when it comes to team drama. Ready to dive in? Let's go.
So, for all Aces fans, it's over. It's over. It's over. The reign of the Aces is over. I understand the shortest dynasty in the history of the sport of basketball. You know, I've never heard of a dynasty that won 2 championships and then was done, because you're seeing all the ring-chasing free agents getting out of Vegas.
You know what they say about karma? It seems like it's coming back to bite the Las Vegas Aces in a big way. Remember when they were at the top of the world, back-to-back champs with a roster that looked unbeatable? Those days are starting to feel like a distant memory. Let's rewind for a second. The Aces were riding high, their swagger on full display. AJawilson and Becky Hammond were practically untouchable, or so they thought. But then came that semi-finals loss to the New York Liberty, and suddenly the cracks began to show.
We have to get better. We have to really take a sharp look at ourselves, look ourselves in the mirror, see our shortcomings, and then, you know, you got to make the moves necessary, whatever that means, to put the best product that we possibly can. It's not going to be the same group probably next year. It just won't. And I'm sad about that, because I really like that group. They were a pain in my ass, but I was a pain in their ass too.
Now, Coach Hammond's words after that loss are starting to sound less like confidence and more like a warning. She said the team wouldn't be the same in 2025, and at the time, we all thought she meant they'd come back stronger. But it turns out, she might have been predicting a full-on meltdown.
Well, I mean, Becky Hammond, you were right. Congratulations, but did you really think it would be this different, a roster?
The first domino to fall, KateMartin, the fan favorite and spark plug, was left unprotected in the expansion draft, and before anyone could even ask, what were they thinking? The Golden State Valkyries snatched her up. It was like the Aces gift-wrapped one of their most promising young players and handed her straight to a rival.
You know, this league is all about opportunity, and, you know, you just need one shot, right? And I am very thankful for the Aces and everything I got to learn there, but I'm really excited for this new beginning and to build something from the ground up here with the Valkyries.
But that was just the beginning. The real shocker came when Kelsey Plum, the sharpshooter extraordinaire, decided not to sign an extension. Next thing you know, she's traded to the Los Angeles Sparks in a deal that had fans scratching their heads. Sure, they got Jewel Lloyd in return, but at what cost? Especially since Plum is younger, more efficient, and doesn't demand the ball as much as Lloyd. And let's talk about that bench. The one that was supposed to be the Aces' secret weapon. Well, it's not so secret anymore because it's practically empty. Sydney Colson, AJawilson's bestie, gone to the Indiana Fever.
The latest departures for the Las Vegas Aces include 2 heavy hitters off the bench and 2 former 2023 and 2024 Six Players of the Year.
Tiffany Hayes, she's joining KateMartin over at the Golden State Valkyries. And Alicia Clark, she's headed back to her old stomping grounds with the Seattle Storm.
Let's start with Alicia Clark. According to Ramona Shelburne of ESPN, the Aces wanted to bring back Alicia Clark. But when Seattle came a-knocking, Alicia was like, you know what? I would love to go back to my WNBA home, which is Seattle. Now, guys, if y'all don't know, Alicia Clark won 2 titles with the Seattle Storm in 2018 and 2020, and now at 37 years old, she is looking to bring her 3-and-D game back to Seattle.
It's like watching a game of musical chairs, except when the music stopped, the Aces were left without a seat. 5 key players gone, their entire rotation up in smoke. You've got to wonder what's really going on behind the scenes to cause this mass exodus.
Then, of course, there is Tiffany Hayes, who, guys, Tiffany Hayes was not even supposed to be in the WNBA last season. She had actually retired in the offseason of 2020.
Tiffany Hayes, fresh off winning 6th Player of the Year, is jumping ship to join the Valkyries. This isn't just any player leaving. We're talking about someone who averaged 9.5 points, 2.8 rebounds, and 2.1 assists per game last season, and is still showing she's got it every time she steps on the court. Hayes was a crucial signing for the Aces when she came out of retirement, and now she's walking away. It's like watching your key player take their ball and go home, except in this case, they're taking their ball to a whole new team.
Tiffany Hayes, she hopped on with the Las Vegas Aces mid-season for the 2024 season and made a crazy awesome comeback. Guys, she was averaging nearly 10 points a game off the bench. She gave the Aces that extra little gut punch that they needed off the bench to give them some more intensity, give them some offensive versatility of sorts. She's one of those players that Tiff Hayes can get to the basket. Tiff Hayes, if she has the basketball in her hands, she can kind of do whatever she wants with it. And you're not really going to be able to stop her.
And let's not forget that semifinals loss to the Liberty. It wasn't just a loss, it was a wake-up call. Kelsey Plum, Jackie Young, and Chelsea Gray, the Aces' offensive powerhouses, combined for a measly 28 points. That's not just a bad day. That's a red flag waving in your face, screaming that something's seriously wrong with your scoring strategy. Want numbers? The Aces have lost about 40% of their scoring output from last season. That's not a dip, that's a nosedive. It's like watching a high-flying circus act suddenly realize they forgot to set up the safety net. So, what's driving this mass exodus? Is it the rumored locker room tensions? The whispers about Wilson's ego growing too big for Sin City? Or is it something deeper, a rot at the core of what was once the WNBA's model franchise?
I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna try to be the best. I get y'all saying best player in the world. That's great, it looks great. But I want to be the best person. I want to be the best teammate, because that's how I get the best out of my team.
One thing's for sure, this isn't just a bump in the road for the Aces, it's a full-on crisis. They're not just losing players, they're losing their identity. The dynasty that seemed unshakable just months ago is now looking about as stable as a house of cards in a Vegas windstorm. And how's AJawilson handling all of this? Based on her social media, she's in tears. You've got to wonder, could this be karma coming back to bite them? All that swagger, all that arrogance, all those moments of rubbing their success in everyone's faces. Maybe the basketball gods decided it was time for a little humility lesson. Just when you thought the Las Vegas Aces couldn't sink any lower, the real drama was unfolding behind closed doors all along. Remember when their front office was the envy of the league? Well, now it's more like a ghost town. What's driving this mass exodus from the top down?
But also, there is a huge thing that you all have to keep in mind is that the Las Vegas Aces do not have a GM right now. They let go of their GM a couple months ago, and they have not put anyone in that place. And so, hey, Nikki Fargas and Becky Hammond are trying to make some wonders without an actual GM.
Let's start with General Manager Natalie Williams getting the boot. The official reason? A vague front office restructuring. But the harsh reality is, months have passed, and the Aces are still without a GM. It's like they're playing basketball without a point guard. Who's calling the shots? Your guess is as good as mine. But wait, it gets even juicier. Whispers are circulating that Becky Hammond might be eyeing a power play. Word on the street is she could be gunning for a dual role as both head coach and general manager, like her old boss, Greg Popovich. Talk about wearing too many hats. Is this a smart move or a recipe for disaster?
WNBA's newest franchise, the Golden State Valkyries, have named Natalie Nakase as their first ever head coach.
And if you thought the coaching staff was safe, think again. Hammond's top assistants have packed their bags and hit the road. Natalie Nakase, once a key part of the Aces coaching lineup, is now making history as the first Asian American head coach in WNBA history with the Golden State Valkyries. Good for her, but tough luck for Vegas.
Chicago, as we just said, has Tyler Marsh as their head coach.
Not to be outdone, Tyler Marsh decided to jump ship too. He's taking his talents to the Chicago Sky. Now, if you've been following the WNBA, you know the Sky isn't exactly smooth sailing either. So is Marsh escaping one sinking ship only to board another? Only time will tell.
He was also an assistant for the Las Vegas Aces, so that's caused a lot of back and forth because they've had two now assistant coaches leave. Natalie Nakase is now the the head coach of the Valkyries.
With no GM and a coaching staff gutted faster than a fish at a sushi restaurant, the Aces are looking less like the powerhouse they once were and more like a team that's lost its way. You've got to wonder what's really going on behind those glitzy Vegas curtains. You know how they say, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas? Well, not this time. The Aces' dirty laundry is being aired for all to see, and it's not pretty. From discrimination lawsuits to coach suspensions, this team's got more drama than a soap opera marathon.
What is going on in their locker room? Like, this Aces team is falling apart. This is not a coach that I would want to play for.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room, the Dorica Hammy lawsuit. This isn't just some minor squabble. We're talking serious allegations of discrimination and unfair treatment. Hammy claims she was treated poorly after her pregnancy and that Aces management failed to support her during that time. Now, I don't know about you, but that doesn't sound like the behavior of a championship-caliber organization. The league didn't take these allegations lightly. They hit the Aces with a record fine of $500,000 and stripped them of their 2025 first-round draft pick. That's not just a slap on the wrist. That's a full-on knockout punch to the team's future, especially with a depleted bench. And just when you think it can't get any worse, there are whispers about under-the-table player benefits. The league is investigating whether players received undisclosed benefits. Now, I'm no expert, but that sounds an awful lot like cheating to me. And if there's one thing sports fans hate more than losing, it's cheating. This isn't just about a few bad apples or isolated incidents. This paints a picture of a team culture that's rotten from the top down. The Aces have gone from being the WNBA's golden child to its problem child faster than you can say what happens in Vegas. Now, let's compare this dumpster fire to what's happening over in Indiana. The Fever? They're making all the right moves this offseason. They're not just changing players, they're overhauling their entire organization.
Breaking news came down, so we have to discuss it. This is what we do here. We're talking about the Indiana Fever making yet another move, Alicia, because they're Thanos right now and they're collecting all the Infinity Stones.
After years of rebuilding, the Fever's resurgence is being strategically orchestrated by a bolstered front office. The return of Kelly Krauskopf as team president, known for her influential role in shaping Indiana's past successes, set the tone for a transformative offseason. The addition of league insider Amber Cox as general manager further reinforced their commitment to excellence, bringing in a sharp mind with extensive knowledge of player development and team building. And to top it off, they convinced Stephanie White to come back as head coach, bringing her championship experience back to the franchise she both played for and originally coached. That's a front office dream team right there.
I am ready to proclaim the Indiana Fever as your WNBA champs.
And boy, did this new front office and coaching staff go to work. The Fever went on a shopping spree in free agency, signing championship veterans left and right. Natasha Howard? Check. Cheyenne Parker? You bet. Sophie Cunningham and Sydney Colson? Absolutely. Oh, and they even managed to re-sign their star, Kelsey Mitchell. It's like they're building a dream team to surround their new golden girl, Caitlin Clark.
A lot of people say that Caitlin Clark moves the needle. That is wrong. She is the needle. She dictates. We all know what she's done on the floor. It's history, right? But off the floor, my goodness.
Clark's debut season was nothing short of sensational. She shattered 62 records, injected unparalleled energy into the team, and drew league-wide attention. But beyond the stats, her leadership truly invigorated the Fever's culture, establishing them as more than just underdogs. With a rising core that includes standout players like Aaliyah Boston and Lexi Hull, along with seasoned guard Kelsey Mitchell leading the charge, the Fever's prospects for 2025 and beyond are glowing. Indiana's commitment to nurturing a strong, supportive environment stood in stark contrast to the Aces season, which was marred by drama. The Fever's approach centered on long-term growth and fostering team chemistry, attracting potential free agents who sought stability and a clear vision. Word within the WNBA was that Indiana's revitalized front office, combined with Clark's magnetic draw, was making the Fever a desirable destination for top talent
in a position where you can add some pieces.
Yes, we are. We're definitely in a position, and I would think that if you are a smart basketball player and you watch the way she plays, you would want to play with her.
While the Aces are busy putting out fires and watching players run for the exits, the Fever are methodically building what could be the next WNBA dynasty. They're not just making moves, they're making smart moves. They're creating a culture where players want to be, where they feel supported and valued. You've got to wonder, is this the real reason behind the mass exodus in Las Vegas? Are players looking at all the drama drama, all the controversies, and deciding they'd rather be anywhere else? It's not hard to imagine a player looking at the Aces situation and then looking at what's happening in Indiana, thinking, yeah, I know where I'd rather be. The Aces have gone from being the team everyone wanted to join to the team everyone's trying to escape. And it's not just about losing games or players, it's about losing trust, losing respect, and possibly losing their future.
Building quality depth is going to be important. You know, when you have a core three like we have, you know, surrounding them with players who are going to, you know, fill the roles, certainly, first and foremost, who are going to embrace the roles, you know, secondly, and who give us the best opportunities for success by complementing what they do really, really well.
While the Aces are crumbling, the Indiana Fever are rising from the ashes. They're not just rebuilding, they're revolutionizing. With Stephanie White back at the helm and Amber Cox calling the shots as GM, the Fever are positioning themselves as the team to beat. And let's not forget the veterans they've brought in: Natasha Howard, Cheyenne Parker, Sydney Colson, and Sophie Cunningham. These aren't just players, they're championship-caliber mentors for the young talent. Speaking of young talent, all eyes are on Caitlin Clark. The Fever aren't just building a team, they're crafting a dynasty around their new superstar. While the Aces are scrambling to hold on to their relevance, Indiana is methodically laying the groundwork for long-term success. The balance of power in the WNBA is shifting, and it's tilting towards Indianapolis. The Aces' reign might be over, but the Fever's is just beginning.